The series begins with a hot dog called Frank waking up from his sleep. When he comes out, all the food are so happy to see him, and they all thank him for turning their lives around after he took control and fixed their town. They thank him for making them one big family and bringing them peace and harmony. His friends tell him they have brought his dead girlfriend Brenda back to life. Frank runs to meet her to show her what they have achieved in the town, but she turns to mush. Frank yells as he wakes up from his dream. According to Jack, he knows Frank has been having this nightmare continuously because he is still sad about Brenda dying and turning to mush. Frank doesn't want to talk about it and tells Jack that it has changed over time. Jack dresses up and puts Frank on the throne on his head. Frank is the king of Foodtopia, but all the foods are not satisfied with Frank's governance at all. They don't have a choice though, as Frank uses his human servant Jack to make sure all the foods in the city follow the rules. Due to the heat from the sun, Frank divided the foods into different groups. Each group will spend 5 minutes in the fridge to cool off. Then they will be replaced with another group after 5 minutes. Frank uses this method to ensure that everyone gets equal fridge time. Later that night, Barry and Sammy go to have a word with Frank concerning how everyone is sick and tired of his leadership. They ask him to change his ways, but their words fall on deaf ears. Even the idiotic Jack does not feel okay being feared by the citizens of Foodtopia and hopes to be integrated as part of the food community one day. But Frank treats Jack just as a means to hold on to his power. Barry and Sammy notice 2 foods called Julius and Duncan sneaking somewhere. They try to follow them to see where they are heading, but Sammy blows their cover by making a sound. Julius and Duncan try to run away, but they're caught by Barry, who interrogates them about what they're planning. When they refuse to talk, Barry and Sammy decide to disguise themselves as Julius and Duncan to attend the secret meeting. After attending the meeting, Barry and Sammy find out that the other foods are planning to assassinate Jack and Frank to end his reign for good. One of the foods notices something off about Julius and Duncan, and his suspicions prove to be true when he removes their disguises, revealing Barry and Sammy. Barry begs them not to kill Frank, assuring them that things are going to get better soon, but the foods have made up their minds. They're tired of being controlled by Frank. After a while, Barry hurries to Frank's room to inform him that the foods are planning to kill him. Barry helps Frank and Jack escape by taking them out of the Foodtopia city gate. But just as Frank goes out of the gate, Barry locks him outside. Barry and Sammy apologize to Frank. This was the only way to stop him from getting killed. They were able to negotiate with the other foods, and the foods agreed to exile him instead of assassinating him. Frank refuses to accept this and tells Jack to climb the gate. But Jack fails because the gate is extremely tall. Frank is disappointed with Barry and Sammy for double-crossing him, but Barry replies that he should be given some time to smooth things over. The foods, however, also push Barry and Sammy out of the gate. When they ask what they did wrong, the foods tell them that they are Frank's longtime friends and can't be trusted. The foods leave, threatening them never to come back again or they will kill them. Frank feels bad for what the other foods did to him because he was the one who led them in the revolution against the humans. Frank is infuriated with Barry, seeing the eviction as his best friend's betrayal, and remains completely unaware of how badly he failed as a leader. Jack suggests they venture into the outside world. Now that foodkind are the dominant species, they can settle anywhere they want. Taking Jack's suggestion, the crew decides to move to Jack's hometown to start a new life there. On their way, Jack becomes exhausted, but Barry forces him to keep moving by controlling him through his anus. When they finally arrive at Jack's hometown, the whole place appears quiet and empty, with dead bodies scattered all over the city. The crew is suddenly confronted by some wild berries who don't seem violent at first, and even try to communicate with them. But the moment they lay eyes on Jack, they begin attacking him immediately because he's human. They try to kill him, but Frank, Barry, and Sammy decide to rescue him and get him somewhere safe. Frank and Barry get into another argument, but they suddenly notice a city not far away with lights everywhere. The badly wounded Jack is in no shape to move any further, and the effect of the bath salts, which allowed him to interact with foodkind, has started to wear off. Frank, Barry, and Sammy gossip behind Jack's back because Jack still thinks the foods in the new city will welcome him.
Does that poor son of a bitch really think he's coming with us?
Yeah, this is sad. Even after the wild berry attack, he still thinks new foods will treat him with anything other than open hostility?
Instead of being hostile toward him for being human, they decide to leave Jack behind because if the foods in the city see Jack with them, it will create a bad impression. Frank goes to tell Jack that they'll be right back, giving the excuse that they're gonna get some bath salts to make him feel better. In reality, they plan to abandon Jack and go into the new food city without him. When they enter the city, they are surprised to see how civilized the place is. It looks exactly like the paradise for food kind they had always hoped to create. The food citizens have created a proper system to allocate fridge time for every food, they are pursuing education, they appreciate human art and culture, and many of them even own cars. Frank and his crew suddenly notice rain approaching and rush to warn everyone, believing they are all in danger. But before they can do so, a voice on a loudspeaker informs all the foods about the upcoming rain and assures them that the city's protective system will keep them safe and dry. Frank and his crew are then noticed by the citizens, who begin moving toward them in an awkward, creepy manner, causing them to run for their lives. However, once the foods catch them, Frank and his friends realize the citizens aren't trying to hurt them. They are celebrating them. Frank and his crew are taken inside a building to meet a food named Trisha. They are shocked that Trisha knows who they are, and she explains that they are considered legends for starting the revolution that liberated food kind from humans. Frank praises their incredible town and asks if Trisha is the leader, but she explains that she is only one of many council members that represent each food group to ensure everyone has a voice. Trisha suggests that Frank and his friends stay for a while, though Barry doesn't want to, insisting they're on a traveling trip. Frank insists on staying because he wants to know how they built such an advanced civilization so quickly. A loud horn catches their attention, and Trisha tells them it's the ceremonial horn. When they go outside, they see the entire city gathered and making a loud sound. Suddenly, they see Jack being dragged into the center of the city, about to be persecuted because he is human. Frank can't bear to watch, because Jack is his friend, a friend who saved his life without hesitation. They rush to rescue Jack, who is taken into a strange facility. Frank and the crew manage to enter the facility to stop the execution, but to their surprise, the foods aren't killing Jack. They are cleaning him up and tending to his wounds. Even more shocking, they see humans living freely and happily inside the facility. Trisha explains how the city became so advanced. They have domesticated humans. They use humans to carry refrigerators into the city and perform other tasks. Not only do humans provide physical labor, but their specialized knowledge from their old lives has helped the foods enormously. Humans have taught them how to drive cars, practice medicine, and even read. Trisha then begins assigning Frank and his friends to different roles. Since Sammy loves theatrical activities, she takes him to a movie studio for an audition. Frank is asked to join the Council of Leadership. Barry is told to find something in the city he might be good at. Barry joins a dance class, but he gets frustrated because he isn't vibing with the dance. He confesses to the dance leader that he has tried everything in the town, and nothing is working for him. But eventually, Frank stumbles upon a police training class and becomes fully interested. Trisha introduces Frank to the council as their new representative for nitrates. As their newest member, she asks him to pick an item from the book to begin working on. But noticing how nervous Frank is, she realizes he can't read and quickly changes the subject to spare him embarrassment. Barry begins training with the chief of police, Dijon. Barry turns out to be naturally good at fighting, and the police chief becomes very fond of him. As for Jack, he joins training for humans. It is revealed that the humans are actually enslaved. The city's security team controls their bodies like puppets. Jack is too dumb to realize he is a slave. Since Barry is now a police officer, he volunteers to control Jack as his puppet. Jack falls in love with a human named Hill as they carry out different tasks for the foods. Trisha takes Frank to a primary school class so he can learn how to read. Meanwhile, Sammy creates the best movie ever made in the city, making all the directors jealous. Everything seems to be working out perfectly. Barry even gets a job working with Dawn in the Foodlander security team. But soon, the dark truth beneath the perfect image of New Foodland begins to surface. Barry and Jack accompany the security team on a refueling drive. The humans they control need fuel to keep obeying commands. It turns out that the people of Foodland send their enslaved humans to take over food settlements by killing, looting, and consuming food. Barry is horrified and rushes to tell his friends. Thank you for watching, guys. Subscribe to this channel so you won't miss out. See you tomorrow.